No one doubts that the Israelis are capable of defending their homeland and destroying Hamas. It'll take some time, but the resolve is firmer than at any time in the last 50 years, arguably. The larger concern is what Hezbollah, backed by Iran, will do at the direction of Iran. They have reportedly an over 100,000 missile stockpile and have already used some of that stockpile to attack Israel from the north. Hezbollah has vowed to escalate if Israel begins a ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, which is likely, and Israel said it will aggressively retaliate. And that's where it could get really problematic with American involvement. So far, President Joe Biden has issued a stark warning to Iran's Ayatollah that the U.S. would respond if his nation attempts to harm American troops in the region, which has already occurred. The Pentagon says that U.S. and coalition forces were attacked at least 10 separate times in Iraq and at least 3 separate times in Syria by a mix of drones and rockets. What Joe Biden has not said is what he will do if Hezbollah begins an aggressive attack against Israel. And to discuss that and Hezbollah's origins and their involvement in Lebanon, I have with me Samy Gemayel. He is the Lebanon Kataeb Party leader, which is the leading Christian party in Lebanon. And Samy, I've had you on my podcast before, so I'm really delighted to have you back again. You were first elected in 2009 to Parliament. Again, you were elected in May 2018, and you had a third election in May of 2022. You represent, Lebanon's a very sectarian sort of culture. They've kind of tried to have in the past joint governance by the Christians, the Shiites, and the Sunnis. Much of that has broken down. As far as background, my listeners should also know that Samy holds a BA in law and a master's in public law from the University of Beirut. And he's also attended Harvard University for leadership classes as well. So welcome to the program, Mr. Gemayel.
It's a pleasure.
So perhaps we could start with this because I think that my audience and in fact, many of us just don't have a real good understanding of Lebanon's governance. We can't understand how a rogue terrorist organization like Hezbollah can control such a country as Lebanon. Can you explain how they've been able to take control?
By using violence and using threats and blocking the institutions and sometimes by invading, using their militia to invade Beirut. This is what happened in 2008. So it was gradual, and Hezbollah used all means necessary to take over the country. It's we say it's a coup d'etat in French. So it's a takeover. It's a kind of... I think it's the same word in English. You use also coup d'etat. So they managed to get a grip of the official institutions, and by mainly using violence and threats.
And so this has been going on for a very long time. And so effectively, how is the government run? Is it run by Hezbollah, and that's why they were able to set up shop and fire on Israel at will? Is that what's occurred? And for how long has this been going on?
Actually, the Lebanese government today is... Hezbollah managed to prevent Lebanon from electing a new president. Mm-hmm. So we are now without a president because Hezbollah is blocking the elections. We are in a caretaker government. We have a caretaker government that is today present. And Hezbollah is hijacking the decision of the Lebanese official state and working on his own without any regard to the Lebanese parliament, who is not convening, and without any regard to the Lebanese army, which is totally helpless today. So, yes, today the official state of Lebanon is hijacked. You can say that it's totally absent. And Hezbollah managed to take over the leadership on the southern the military leadership on the southern borders of Lebanon, which is the northern borders with Israel. So Hezbollah is taking the decisions today regardless of the opinion of the Lebanese people. Most of the Lebanese people are against Lebanon joining this war. Most of the Lebanese people are against Hezbollah taking over the country. And we feel that we are trapped. We feel that we are hostages of an armed militia that uses violence in order to impose its vision and its policy and its interests, which is directly linked to Iran's interest, because, as you know, Hezbollah is funded by Iran. It is ideologically tied to Iran. Its decision is in Iran, and its weapons are coming from Iran, which means that Hezbollah is totally in the hands of Iran.
So I should let listeners know that, first of all, your father was at one time the Lebanese president. Your family has paid a huge price for Lebanon and its people. In fact, your brother was assassinated when he was a member of parliament and the minister of industry. And your uncle was also assassinated. He was a former president-elect at the time of his assassination. So and that was back in 1982. So your family has paid a huge price for the conflict in Lebanon, and now obviously the rest of Lebanese people are subject to this terrorist organization that has taken up the southern border and effectively controls what happens. So the people, is there real concern that this Israeli conflict spills over into Lebanon?
Absolutely. The Lebanese people are very frightened of this spillout. They fear for the future of Lebanon, for their children, for their families. Everyone here is very concerned and feeling helpless because we have absolutely no say in the Hezbollah's behavior in the south of Beirut. And we have absolutely no say in the conflict that is going on today between the Palestinians and the Israelis. So we feel helpless, and we are trying to, as much as we can, explain to the international community that there are innocent people in Lebanon that have absolutely nothing to do with this crisis, that may pay the price of this conflict, which are the Lebanese people. And unfortunately, Hezbollah managed to drag all of us by force into this conflict.
So the Israelis have been very strong in that if Hezbollah does attack from the north, that they will rain down terror like they have never seen before. And we have not heard, I think, as strong of a position from President Biden. If he has only mentioned, so far as I've known, that if Iran continues to attack, particularly U.S. forces. So he's leaving some room there to not get involved if Hezbollah expands the attack on Israel. Is that how you read it?
I'm not an analyst. I'm not a journalist to give my opinion about what are the intentions of the American president. All I know is that for a long time, all the international community, including the U.S., let Iran flourish in the region, arm and finance groups like Hezbollah, like the Islamic Jihad in Gaza, like the groups that are in Yemen, the groups that are in Syria, in Iraq, all the Iranian proxies in the region, all the international community let them flourish And now we are dealing with the results of this lack of intervention before. So I don't know what will be what is the interest from the Israelis to destroy all of Lebanon. We absolutely condemn this kind of speech. We also condemn the way are treating civilians on both sides. There is no value for human beings anymore in this region, and this madness should stop. And the only way to stop this madness is to do two things. The first thing is to find a solution for this conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis that have been going on for the past 75 years. There are international resolutions that should be respected, and these Security Council resolutions were voted unanimously in the Security Council by all the presence. And we have to move forward with the peace process. And this is what I think the American administration should be pushing to. The second thing is to come to understand how important is the role of Iran in the region and the proxies of Iran, and the fact that we have all these rogue groups all over the region. It's because Iran is trying to expand its influence and and wants to become an international player using violence and using these proxies such as Hezbollah in Lebanon or Hezbollah in Iraq, for example, or the Houthis or all their allies. And by arming some allies of them like Hamas, etc., in order to create chaos and to position Iran as the main card holder that you have to talk to in order to achieve any kind of ceasefire or any kind of solution. So today, if you want to find a solution or you want to negotiate anything regarding this conflict, the first one you should go to is Iran. And I think there is a big responsibility from the West, who let Iran become as strong as it is today. And we are all paying the price of that.
Well said. I'm going to leave it there because you just gave us an entire lesson on that conflict in the Mideast and where we need to lead as a country. So I appreciate you coming on and enlightening us about that conflict from your perspective, your real perspective, as you live through this conflict and this terror. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate you, Samy Gemayel, for joining me on this program.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, I want to thank Tonya Corey from Naperville for introducing me to Mr. Gemayel and for facilitating the interview that you just heard. I'm Jeanne Ives. You're listening to The Real Story, and I'll be right back with the Hate Has No Home hoax.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.